Welcome to the deep dive, where citrus meets sarcasm and we put traditional wisdom under a modern lens.
Yep, today we're jumping into the world of anti-hacks. Those home remedies passed down, sometimes with science, sometimes maybe just sass.
And definitely sometimes with lemon juice. We're using excerpts from anti-hacks, untacking natural cures and health myths as our guide.
Our mission. To kind of unpack some common ones. Lemon honey, garlic, turmeric, salt baths, stuff like that. We want to see what the source says holds up and what might be, well, just myth.
Exactly, applying a bit of critical thinking. And the source asks this great question right off the bat, especially about lemon honey, kind of the supposed holy grail.
Hmm.
Is it actual magic or just a myth?
Yeah, let's start there. Lemon first. The source goes right at that whole lemon detox idea. Is it real? Or, as the source kind of puts it, ridiculous?
Okay, so what's the verdict from the source?
Well, it's pretty clear. The idea that lemon juice does some special detox, beyond what your body already handles. The source says there's really no solid evidence for that.
Right, your liver, your kidneys, they're already on the job.
Exactly. They're your detox pros. Lemon's healthy, sure, vitamin C and all that, but the source is saying it's not this magical cleansing agent the myths make it out to be.
Okay, so the lemon side of the equation, maybe more myth. What about the honey, though? The source does mention it has some real properties.
Ah, yes. This is where, according to the source, it gets genuinely interesting. It highlights honey's um, antimicrobial properties.
Antimicrobial. So, like, what does that mean in simple terms?
Basically, the source explains it means honey can stop certain tiny things, like bacteria, from growing.
Okay.
It's not antibiotics, obviously, but its makeup, high sugar, certain enzymes, the source mentions, creates an environment where it's tough for microbes to thrive.
So that's soothing feeling for a sore throat?
Could be more than just coating it. The source suggests this property might be why it actually helps soothe the traditional use.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of lines up with this antimicrobial quality.
Fascinating. So the comfort from lemon honey might lean more heavily on the honey's actual science-backed side. Okay, moving on. The source also tackles other health power players, right? Garlic and turmeric?
Oh yeah, big reputations there. Garlic, for instance. The source mentions its long history with immune support.
And the source doesn't forget the sass. It throws in that slightly less conventional use, garlic as a mosquito repellent, or maybe even a roommate repellent. Ah,
Yes, the source definitely acknowledges its potent aroma might ward off more than just germs, a bit of humor in there.
right.
But health-wise, the immune link, the source notes, is often tied to its sulfur compounds, though, research is always ongoing.
And then turmeric, which the source gives that great label, millennial penicillin, really captures how popular it is right now, especially for inflammation.
Totally. That phrase nails the buzz. And the source points to curcumin. That's the compound giving it the bright yellow color as the basis for its traditional and current use.
Right, the anti-inflammatory stuff.
Exactly. Studies have shown curcumin has those effects, which is why, according to the source, it's so common in remedies targeting inflammation.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. The source also touches on simpler, maybe more external hacks for aches and pains.
It does. It talks about salt baths, like using Epsom salts in warm water. The source presents this as a really common traditional thing for muscle soreness.
Does it say why it works?
Not definitively, like with complex studies, but the traditional thinking, as presented, is the combination of warmth and maybe the magnesium from the salts helps soothe and relax muscles. It's largely about comfort.
Makes sense. And rosemary compresses were also mentioned.
Yep. Applying a warm cloth soaked in rosemary water or oil topically. Again, the source frames it as a traditional approach for localized pain.
So similar idea. Warmth plus maybe something from the rosemary itself.
Kind of. The source seems to suggest the main benefit is likely that localized warmth and just the comforting feeling, though traditional beliefs might attribute more to the rosemary compounds.
Got it. So we've covered quite a bit: sore throats, immunity, aches. But we absolutely need to include this point, and the source material is very direct about it. A disclaimer.
Crucial. As the source clearly states, we are not doctors.
Nope.
We're podcast people exploring this information from anti-hacks, unpacking natural cures and health myths. This isn't medical advice, just sharing what the source material says.
And really understanding this mixed tradition, belief, potential science. That's the goal here. Looking at what the source says about honey versus lemon or turmeric's hype or the simple comfort of a salt bath. It makes you think about how you evaluate health claims you hear every day.
Which leads to a good question for you, listening. Where do you draw the line? When do you trust that old family remedy? And when do you absolutely need professional medical advice? What does thinking about this stuff teach us about sorting through health info?
Definitely food for thought. And maybe the best takeaway, echoing the practical spirit in our source, when in doubt.
Ask someone with experience, like your abuela.
And then maybe double check with a medical pro, like a nurse.
Sounds like a pretty balanced approach. Wisdom and science working together.